My name is Faith Mangope. I'm a broadcaster by profession. Well, now I get to add to that title, International Award-Winning Broadcaster, because, thank you very much. We've just been recognized at the New York Radio Awards for Best Talk Show Program. And we beat, when I'm saying some of the individuals that were part and parcel of submissions were from Al Jazeera, Canada, Australia, and America, of course, and South Africa, we took it home. So I do stand before you humbly so, but with conviction that we are an international award-winning broadcasting team. And that speaks significantly to what South Africa is capable of. And indeed, in the other work that I do, I'm the founder of the Faith Mangope Technology and Leadership Institute, where it's very simple what we do. We train, we place, we change lives. That's what we do. We train, we place, we change lives. Now, in order for us to fulfill what we do, there needs to be a why. So allow me to take you through my why, what, and how. So let me start off with the why. Back again, I'm Faith Mangope. I come from a home that it is a typical South African story home. There was a time in my growing up life, or the time in my high school life, in fact, most of my high school life, where both of my parents were unemployed. And I'm the firstborn of 4 children. So, don't know how many African people have been in households where both parents are unemployed. The situation in my home was so dire that every Wednesday and every Sunday, we had to receive food parcels from Woolworths, thank you, Woolies, because at the time they had food parcel programs that would give to the underprivileged. And of course, during that time, my family was considered underprivileged. So every Wednesday and Sunday, I would stand in a long queue of people who would stand and take in some of the food that was going to expire that Woolworths was giving away. And that was my reality for most of my schooling. I often laugh when we had load shedding. I said, I did high school in the dark. Not because I wanted to, but because my parents couldn't afford to pay for the electricity bill. I remember when I was studying at Wits University, and I think I was in my first year of university, where I had to send one of my best friends a message, and I asked her for 45 Rand so that we could buy electricity so that I could just study. Those are the realities that I grew up with. I remember that our house was consistently under auction, and we always had to fight the sheriff so that he does not seize our house. At the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, I had already subscribed to borrowing money from the bank. Funny enough, it's First National Bank. Please keep it in your mind because it comes back into a loop a little bit later on. I come from a household where in second year of university, when I was studying at Wits, I got my father arrested for domestic violence. So I had to be the one that, for some odd reason, had to now look after the family because my father now had been arrested for hitting my mom. And when you grow up in the realities that we grow up in, and just to give you some context, I also, one day at the age of 25, went from becoming a child in the household to becoming a father in the household. Because my father woke up one morning and he packed up his bags and he left my mother, who was unemployed, and 3 other children who were still in school and never came back. And so one day I had to grow up very quickly. From being a child to being an adult. From being a child to being a father figure in the household. And that particular story of mine taught me one profound lesson. Was that I never ever wanted to see another child in South Africa grow up the way I grew up. Not if I can help it. You see, that is my why. South African children grow up in poverty. South African children are growing up in fatherless households. South African children are growing up in households where they get abused. Girls under the age of 12, by the time they turn 12 years of age, have already been sexually molested. That is the reality of the South African story. Many kids are growing up with having to undo some of the injustices that have been prevailed by their families. So we could either sit on the sidelines and feel sorry for ourselves and behave and pretend that somebody else has to fix it, or we could roll up our sleeves and get into the mud and fix it. So that is my why. My why is I know what pain feels like. I don't want another child to grow up in this country feeling that pain. And it's an indictment on every responsible parent to ensure that the children that are around you and the young people that are around you do not get to experience some of the pain that you've experienced. Because I can bet you something, my South African story is a South African story that has been replicated time and time again. So that is my why. Why do I do what I do? How? Or what do we do? Maybe let's start with the what we do. The Faith Mangope Technology and Leadership Institute is a skills development and leadership institution that was started in 2019 with just 10 young women. And today we educate over 100 young men and women in tech skills such as data analytics, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, as well as software development. We also teach power skills. And we've proudly partnered with the Stellenbosch Business Institute as well, who's contributing to our power skills, where we equip young people with those critical skills that are needed to navigate the way of work. Because if you grow up in the typical, and this is what we're not understanding, if you grow up in a typical South African story where all you know is pain, your pain might just bleed onto other people. You see, South African young people carry the scars that we have not equipped them with on how to heal it. And then we wonder, why is it that these kids don't show up for work and show up the way that they should? Because hurt people have got a tendency of bleeding on other people. Some of these kids are consciously or unconsciously bleeding onto you, and that's why you can't understand, with all the opportunity I've given you, why are you struggling to show up? How do they show up if they're still trying to get over what has happened to them? And so that is why our program is so critical in the leadership component. Because in order for you to master your work, in order for you to master your career, you have to first master yourself and your trauma. Now, with many of us as adults in the room, we can pay the therapist, and thank God for therapists. But how many of us can actually say, I've done the dirty, horrible work of healing, and I'm on the other side? And if we're struggling with that consciousness of being able to actualize, what do you think a 21-year-old is doing? Who doesn't even have the skills, the capacity, or even the language to speak to some of the trauma that they've been through. So before you can master others, before you can master your career, you need to be able to master yourself. And that is what we do. And then thereafter, after our 12-month program, it's the fun part, because I heard it earlier on. What is the point of upskilling if these kids are going to end up unemployed? And you know what? You're right. In our institute currently, we have got master's graduates. Master's graduates who can't get a job. They can't. No matter what they do, them and their university degrees and master's degrees can't get employment. So what we've done, and I had a conversation with Ravi a bit earlier on, is through our partnership with YES, we place these young people. Now, when we talk about placements, let me give you a typical example, because the stats and the numbers are all too well, but I think I want us to talk a little bit about the story, about the placements. And the placements, for example, where 92 of our candidates graduated from our program last year, all of our candidates from 2025 are in jobs. Right now, all of them, every single one of them. And what do I mean by jobs? Our kids are working at First National Bank. I've got 62 alumni at First National Bank. Let me give you an idea what I mean by they're working at First National Bank. They go through our program earning a stipend of 3,000 Rand a month. After the completion of our program, they get placed through the YES partnership that we've got, and they go through the program, the training program with First National Bank. After the completion of the program with First National Bank, they are currently earning 45,000 Rand a month. I've got about 15 of our candidates that have been placed at PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. Our kids are now starting off with a salary of 25,000 Rand a month. Our kids are working at Pay Central. They're working at ABSA. ABSA, you know I'm wearing your colors today. It's your lucky day today. You know today, ABSA, you woke up on the right side. You got my good side today, ABSA. But I want to share the story of one of our candidates that actually is working at ABSA. And this particular candidate touched my heart because how many of you know that changing lives can be exhausting? And I want us to talk about that. Sometimes we suffer from philanthropy fatigue. It's hard to show up for people consistently because you get fatigued. But ABSA, it's your lucky day because I want to talk to you a little bit about a young woman called Lindiwe Mulwane. Lindiwe works at ABSA. Lindiwe is one of our alumni, and she came into our program fresh from high school. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, did not know what she wanted to do, but she passed with flying colors through our program, and subsequent to that, she was placed at ABSA Bank. And can I tell you something? Lindiwe came back to teach or to talk to our current cohort. It was actually the class of 2024 and class of 2025. She came back to the class and she said, my name is Lindiwe and I just bought myself a car and I'm building my house. That is the story. You see, that's what I call breaking generational curses. That's when you know you are changing lives. Mine is to make sure that Lindiwe's story is not an isolated story. We need to create a story where we can not just replicate it, we can 10x it. There need to be 10,000 Lindiwes who can subsequently say, my name is, and I'm building a house for my family, and I'm driving a car that I want to buy that my blessed did not buy for me. I need us to be real about what youth unemployment is doing to our children. The HIV statistics in this country say that between the ages of 15 and 24, you've got about 700 children a week that contract HIV. Those are from blessers. That's a story for another day, but I need us to understand what the replication or the consequences of not giving kids jobs and not creating an ecosystem of employment and opportunity does for young women and men in this country. So that's part and parcel of what we do. We train, we place, we change lives. All of my kids have been placed. And we would like to acknowledge some of our partners. I mean, from the beginning when we had 10 individuals, it was through Sunil and SAP with their 10 laptops who knew, I swear, Sunil must have thought I was crazy. He just looked at me and said, okay, well, I don't know what you're doing, but I'll give you 10 laptops to start. Your 10 laptops have translated to real jobs being created today. So I thank you. Furthermore to that, we've got partners such as Africa Tukun through Balron, who have also partnered with us with this initiative. We've got Momentum Group Foundation that have partnered with us for this foundation. We've got the Motsepe Foundation. The Motsepe Foundation even employs some of our candidates. And they also were really generous enough to provide us with 20 laptops. And right now we are in conversations, and to show you how dire the situation is, I was on a call with Wits University just yesterday. Wits University wants us to do something where we can assist in getting their Wits graduates employed. Because Wits graduates are struggling to find employment. And I got a call saying, Faith, is there a way that Femtali and Wits University can work together so that we can give these kids jobs? When Wits graduates can't get employment, we're in big trouble. Because it's going to be Stellenbosch University, it's going to be UCT, and it's going to be Rhodes University. You're not immune. So what are we going to do to change the status quo? Our vision is to have 1,000 young people face-to-face in classes. Yes, we currently have a beautiful premises in Randburg. Please come and visit us and have a cup of coffee with me. And I don't bake biscuits, but I know a girl who does. But come through to our premises. We invite you, come through. Come and see the work that we're doing. Come and see the lives that we're changing. Come and see the kids that we're placing. We want a big campus of 1,000 kids. Kids need a place where they can be kids. Even if you're 21 or 19, you have to be able to have, because some of these kids have had their childhood stolen from them. And furthermore to that, let's open this LMS system, which we've got. We've got a learner management system to over 10,000 young people across the continent. We are a South Africa that exists within an ecosystem of an African continent. We should never forget that we're actually African. So that is why we started. That is what we're doing, and that is how we're doing it. And it is a collaborative effort. It's going to take all of us, absolutely all of us, to ensure that this country of ours is preserved, to ensure that the young people of this country do not wake up one day and decide to jump over your wall because it has suddenly become a class war. Because let me tell you some startling facts. When it's all about class, your color does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or Indian or color, it doesn't matter. And 60% or 62%, 66%, depending who you're asking, you can't have that many young people in South Africa unemployed and think that it's okay. And think that they're not going to get tired of it. I'm driven by a sense of urgency and a passion for this country because this is what I've got. This is my home. But I hope you are too, because this is your home too. And none of us can afford for this home to burn down. So what are we going to do about it? Thank you.